We just learned recently that Linkin Park is back together and going to be producing a new album with a new lead singer. But this isn't without some controversy. I'll just kind of get into that in a little bit. First, this article from People. Linkin Park reunites, adding new singer Emily Armstrong 7 years after Chester Bennington's death. And scrolling down to the article, the reason why there's a lot of controversy around it is some people are trying to make it out to be people are upset because there's a woman in the band. And I haven't really been seeing a whole lot of that, at least on social media, at least from the stuff I've seen. Maybe there's some people out there saying that. But I think a lot of the criticism for this is mostly just stemming around the fact that a lot of people don't feel like they can replace Chester Bennington. Many people think that the band should have maybe continued under another name or something like that if they're going to have a new lead singer, because I don't think there's people upset specifically that they're going to be putting out new music without Chester. I think they're more just upset that it feels like they're replacing him, if that makes any sense. Linkin Park is back with additional band member and a new album. On Thursday, September 5th, the rock outfit revealed they've added Emily Armstrong of Dead Sarah as co-vocalist and Colin Britton as drummer, 7 years after bandleader Chester Bennington died by suicide. And I wouldn't necessarily say Chester Bennington was the band leader. I mean, he was definitely the face of the band. I mean, usually that kind of goes with being the lead singer, but I would think Mike Shinoda was probably more of the band leader, especially since he's one of the original members of it. And he's also one of the ones who was responsible for largely writing a lot of their music. But still, I can understand why a lot of people would think of Chester Bennington as the leader of Linkin Park and why they don't think the band could continue without him. And I know this isn't necessarily unusual for bands to change up members, including the lead singer of a band, but still, this does feel a little bit weird. And I think a lot of that just happens to deal with the fact that Chester Bennington was pretty key to the style and sound of the band with his vocals. And I do think even if you're going to try to replace him with someone who is bringing something different or even can replicate it, I think either way, you're going to be having kind of an uphill battle to climb with all that. According to a press release, Shinoda, Delson, Farrell, and Hahn quietly began meeting up over the past few years. Instead of trying to restart the band, they wanted to work on their friendship and creative connection. After inviting different friends and creatives to join them in the studio, they found kinship with Armstrong and Britton. And that's cool if they think that they just kind of gel together and that she fits in with the band. I mean, I can understand that sort of thing, but a lot of people are thinking that she's not very good, and that's why it's going to kind of bring them down a little bit. There's been a clip that I've seen circulating online where it was basically her from a live performance, and it really didn't sound too good. And to me, though, that's a little bit unfair because live performances don't necessarily sound the best as far as singers. You can get a clip from pretty much even some of the best singers and the best bands, and they'll have some off performances. I think it's better to look at something a little bit more professionally recorded. So here's just a brief clip I'm going to play from one of their latest videos that they put out with her in it. And I'm not going to show a whole lot because of copyright strike, but just kind of take a listen to her and let me know what you think about this in the comments. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was bad. I mean, it's definitely different. It kind of has a Linkin Park sound to it. Well, obviously, because it is Linkin Park. It's not quite the same as what Chester would have done, but I mean, she's not Chester though. She's her own thing. So I can understand why it would sound a little bit different, but I don't think it's terrible. And if this was any other band, I would think like, okay, that's fine. I don't have a issue with it, but some people I think are just kind of hung up on the fact that it's Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. And I think there are ways that they could have gotten around that. Mainly, I think the biggest issue is them just keeping the name of the band. I think they probably should have just changed it, because just imagine the reception if it was announced where it's like, okay, the old band from Linkin Park is getting back together. They just have a new lead singer. They're creating a new band. They'll be putting out new music and they'll be even playing some older Linkin Park stuff. I think that would have been a lot more better received as opposed to what they're doing now with trying to I mean, like I said, I don't think they're necessarily replacing Chester Bennington, but I think it would have been better received than what we're getting right now, because right now there's getting that kind of pushback. And I've seen a lot of people who are critical of this just saying they should have just changed the band name. And it's not like that's something that's unusual for Linkin Park to do. I mean, they changed their band name several times before Chester Bennington actually joined the band. I think it was called Zero. Yeah, they even say that here. The band also announced their first new album since 2017 with From Zero, which will be released on November 15th via Warner Records. Of the new album, Shinoda said in a press release statement, "Before Linkin Park, our first band name was Zero. This album title refers to both this humble beginning and the journey we're currently undertaking." And I think that would have been kind of interesting if they would have just changed the band name, or maybe just changed the band name back to Zero or something like that, because that's where they started. So maybe they should have done that instead. Maybe even spell it like this, Zero, or if they wanted to be something different than where they started, spell it like this. Who knows? I think if they would have done that and they said, we're now Zero, this is our new lead singer, we're going to be performing new stuff, but we're also going to play at live shows and other things like that, older Linkin Park stuff that people know. I think that would have been pretty well received, and I think most people would have been able to get on board with that, even if they don't think she's as good. One of the things about this, though, is it's not like they're getting rid of the old music. So people who like to listen to Linkin Park, or who grew up with Linkin Park like I did, we can still go back and listen to a lot of that old stuff. So it's not like that's going away. It's just a lot of the stuff coming out from this point forward, or pretty much since Chester died, is not going to sound the same. And that's obviously to be expected, because you can't actually make it sound the same. But that was really only a small portion of this controversy. There's some people talking about now how she has connections with Scientology, and she was defending Danny Masterson's, and that's a whole other can of worms there. And I can understand people kind of not being on board with this new direction if someone like this is involved, because a lot of people don't know with Scientology, they try to cover up for each other's crimes, and they always basically defend each other, even if one person is guilty of a crime. So she's being accused of doing that in the case of Danny Masterson, who was convicted of assaulting women, just putting it lightly. So I can see why some people would be upset about her for that. I don't really know the details. It's basically just accusations from someone whose wife was one of Danny Masterson's victims. So, and that's him right here. This is her, this Sarah Armstrong, new lead singer of Linkin Park. So he was basically saying she was covering up for Danny Masterson. And it's really just kind of a he said, she said sort of thing. So we don't necessarily know the details of it, but knowing how Scientology operates, I can definitely see that being the case. But like I said, I don't think a lot of people are necessarily talking about this specifically. I think most people are just kind of concerned with the legacy of Linkin Park, and I don't think anything's necessarily going to change from that end. So I don't know, if you don't like the new sound that they have, then fine, you're free not to like it. But either way, you can still go back and listen to their old stuff, because that's not going to change. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think she fits in well with Linkin Park, or do you think they probably should have changed the band name, or maybe just not release music altogether, or try to change it up so it sounds uniquely different from how Linkin Park was? I'm curious what people have to say about this. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest in entertainment news. And if you can, click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.